in class 11 geography and very important chapter, that is solar radiation, heat balance and temperature. In this chapter we are going to discuss with solar radiation, we are going to discuss with variability of insolation at surface of earth, कैसे कैसे insolation किस किस area में कैसे पड़ते हैं, then we'll take on territorial radiation, then we'll take on heat budget of planet earth, कैसे mechanism maintain होता है आपका earth पे insolation का. We'll take on latitude variation in net radiation balance. We are going to discuss with the temperature factor, so many factors which are controlling, mainly temperature. There is a latitude, longitude, distance from sea. These all are factors which are controlling climate of any country. So distribution of temperature and distortion also we are going to discuss in this. So we'll take on very important part of this chapter, that is insolation. Mainly also receive most of its energy mainly in short wavelength. आप लोगों को short wavelength में मिलती है. Energy received by earth is known as mainly it is known as insolation. जो भी आपको energy receive हो रही है through sun, that is in the form of short radiation, that is called insolation. So what are the factors which are responsible for variation of distribution of energy? As we know, earth is geoid. Geoid means it is just like a egg, shape of an egg. Therefore it is geoid and it is just resembling a sphere. So sun rays cannot be vertically everywhere. Somewhere it is vertical, somewhere it is oblique. So earth receives variation of temperature, a lot of variation in energy for that. So what is the average amount of energy which is received by earth? So the question is 1.94 calories per square kilometer per minute at the top of the atmosphere we are receiving. There are so many reasons why summer when earth is far away from the sun and winter when it is nearest to the sun. What happened? What is the reason for that? Mainly if you see solar output received at the top of the atmosphere varies slightly in a year. There is a reason, because variation in distance between earth and the sun. And due to its revolution around the sun, earth is very far from the sun, 152 million kilometer, and this position of earth is called aphelion. One situation is called perihelion, when it's closest to sun, that position is called perihelion. So mainly if you see annual insolation which is received by earth on 3rd January is slightly more than the amount received on 4th July. So the effect of variation in the solar output is controlled by so many factors. Mainly first factor is distribution of land and sea. आपके एरिया में land कितना है, sea कितना है, and atmospheric circulation also plays a very important role. So this variation in solar output does not have a great effect on daily weather changes, but it controls climate. So variability of insolation at surface of the earth, rotation of earth on its axis, this is the first factor why there is a lot of variation of insolation of the sun. Second is angle of inclination of the sun rays. The length of the day, आपका दिन कितना बड़ा है कितना छोटा है उसके हिसाब से भी आपका atmospheric circulation होगा. Then transparency of atmosphere. Atmosphere is covered by different particles. So आपकी transparency उस दिन atmosphere की कैसी है. Then more and more land area controls atmospheric pressure. Sea is more or water bodies are more. So these are the main two factors. Why is it so? But we have a fact: Earth axis makes an angle of 66 degrees, and it orbits around the sun. And that was the reason we find greater influence on the amount of insolation received at different latitudes. So the variation in the duration of the day is different, and in the night it is different. So the length of the day in hours and minutes, that has been mentioned. If you see latitude 0 degree, December 22, if you see we find a different type of temperature, and on June 21 we find different type of factor. Then we have second factor which determines the amount of insolation, that is angle of inclination of the rays. आपका ये depend करता है आपके latitude of place से. Higher the latitude, less is the angle which makes the surface of the earth resulting in slant sun rays. So this is also there. Then we have incoming radiation is not fully reached to the earth surface. ऐसा क्यों है कि सारी radiation जो sun से release होती है that is not reaching to the earth. The main factor is atmosphere is largely transparent and it comes in short wave solar radiation. So जो आपका incoming solar radiation होता है that passes through the atmosphere before striking the earth surface. Or where within the troposphere, water vapor, ozone and other gases absorb much of the energy which has been received by earth. Very small suspended particle which are responsible, very small energy comes to the earth, and this is the reason why our sky has a different colors. So what is the average distribution of insolation if you see on the surface? तो आपके बहुत सारे reason है. Special distribution of insolation on our surface varies from 320 watt per minute to in the tropics to 70 watt per minute in the poles. Then we have heating and cooling of atmosphere. we have so many factors why Earth become heated and what are the reason why it become cooled. So we have named the rays of heating the atmosphere. One is radiation, one is conduction, one is advection, and one is convection. So mainly if you see horizontal movement of the air is relatively more important than the vertical movement. If you take example middle latitude, most of the diurnal day and night temperature variation of daily weather is caused by advection. And in tropical region, if you see, especially in northern India, summer season are local winds. Mainly there is prevailing of some special local winds that is called Lu, that is due to advection. Then we have terrestrial radiation. The insolation received by Earth is in short wave, and later on it only heats up the surface. But after heating Earth's surface, energy goes back in the terrestrial form in the long radiation, that is called terrestrial radiation. Then we have another factor which is very important. So budget system is also very important in this. So incoming solar radiation we will take on. अगर हम देखें heat budget of the planet Earth as a whole does not accumulate or lose heat. It maintains temperature. ये balance बना के रखती है. This only happens if the amount of heat received in the form of insolation is equal to the amount of heat lost by the Earth through terrestrial radiation. So this is the major reason why is it so. So there is a proper balance which has been there. Out of 35 units which come to the Earth's surface, mainly reflected by the space even before reaching the Earth's surface, and 27 units are reflected back from the top of the clouds, and 2 units from the snow and ice covered areas. Remaining 65 units are absorbed. So terrestrial radiation, if you see, the Earth radiates back around 51 units in the form of terrestrial radiation to the sky back. For 17 units are mainly radiated to space directly, and the remaining 34 units are absorbed by atmosphere, and 9 units have been through advection, convection, and turbulence. So this is the reason why is it so. And what do you mean by albedo? Albedo means रिफ्लेक्शन ऑफ एन ऑब्जेक्ट इज कॉल्ड अल्बाडो. आप किसी ऑब्जेक्ट में कितनी पावर है कि वो रिफ्लेक्ट कर पाता है, और इट दिस अल्बाडो ओनली कंट्रोल्स लॉट ऑफ हीट बैलेंस ऑन अर्थ. सो मेनली अल्बाडो प्लेज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल फॉर कंट्रोलिंग टेम्परेचर ऑन अर्थ. So what is difference between heat and temperature? Temperature, what does temperature stand for? Interaction of insolation with the atmosphere and Earth's surface create heat, which is measured in temperature, mainly in terms of temperature. And there are so many factors which are responsible for controlling temperature distribution. First one is the latitude of the place, altitude of the place, and distance from the sea, and then presence of warm and cold ocean currents. Some local aspects can be there for that. So latitude बहुत important role play करता है किसी area के temperature और climate को control करने के लिए. The closer to equator, the temperature will be warm. Far off from the equator, the temperature varies, and temperature you find different. Altitude also plays a very important role. जैसे जैसे हम height पे जाते रहते हैं, temperature go down. So as we know, 1000 meter per 6.5 degrees Celsius goes off. So and third factor is distance from the sea. The area which is closer to the sea have a moderate temperature. The area which has far off from the sea has a different type of things. Then we have air mass. We have different air mass which are controlling for that. One is land and sea breeze. Land का effect, land अगर area ज़्यादा होगा तो land breeze चलेगी, और अगर sea ज़्यादा होगी तो sea breeze ज़्यादा चलेगी. Then we have ocean currents which are playing very important role for controlling the things. We have different type of ocean currents. We have warm ocean currents, we have cold ocean currents, and the line which joins equal temperature is called isotherms. So हमारे को एक सा isotherms भी देखने को मिलता है. Isotherms play a very important role. This is a rough figure which we draw specially to show same type of temperature. Then we have inversion of temperature. Normally temperature decreases with increase in elevation. It is called normal lapse rate. But some situation is reversed and the normal lapse rate is inverted. So it is called inversion of temperature. So this is the chapter. I hope you like it. Thank you.